This is Python's Paradise. This is your host, Greg Gilbert, aka the Python Hyena, straight out of Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada. And folks, here we are, May the 7th, 2023. And you know what, folks? We're going to enjoy a golden voyage today. Yes, we're celebrating Ray Harryhausen. We're celebrating the golden voyage of Sinbad. We're celebrating the gorgeous beauty of Caroline Monroe. And my guest today, whose heart is full of bravery, he's just got very cowardly legs. Folks, I give you the comic relief, and a memorable comic relief because I remember him well from the Golden Voyage of Sinbad. Kurt Christian, how do you do, Kurt?
Very, very well. It's a beautiful California day here. I live right in the middle of Hollywood, near Lake Hollywood, actually, and it's gorgeous. I feel good, and I'm looking forward to talking with you.
Well, looking at the Golden Voyage of Sinbad and looking at recent pictures of you, where'd your afro go?
Actually, my hair is quite long at the moment.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's kind of pandemic long and wavy. It's set back about an inch from where it used to be, but but it's thick and it's there.
Well, it's wonderful having you come.
It was massive in the movie.
Oh, there you go. Well, you know what? I'm honored to have you on here today. And before we get into your film career, I would like to get some of your background and how you got into the business.
Okay, I grew up in London, in England, and when I was about 4 or 5, friends of my parents said he should be in such and such a movie with Gregory Peck. They need kids that look kind of not Asian but Eurasian. So that was my first film. It was called
Purple Rain. Purple Plane. Yep.
Yeah, and then I went on to do about 12 movies, maybe 10 movies as a kid. And then I joined the National Theatre when I was 16. With Olivier was my boss, and just after that, I did a play on Broadway. Then I came back to England and auditioned for Charlie and Ray Harryhausen for the Golden Voyage, and got it and had the absolute ball, and ended up doing another movie for them.
Sinbad in the Eye of the Tiger. Yeah, I wanted to ask. I wanted to ask. You know, what do you remember of working with Gregory Peck?
Oh, that he was very kind. He loved children, and he used to bring a big bag of bubble gum. It was a hospital scene. He was a doctor, and he was looking after Malayan children or Malaysian children, and he was just delightful. And he was a little bit intimidating because he was 6'3" and we were like 3'3", you know, at the time. So, but he was so warm and so kind. He'd tell us stories, and he was just delightful.
Well, a bag full of bubble gum did not help him in The Omen, did it?
So true.
Speaking of which,
pretty wonderful man.
It's funny. I met Harvey Stevens from The Omen at Frightmare in the Falls last year. Speaking of which, if I had known, I would have brought him some bubble gum.
That's a secret.
I guess.
I hope you didn't. Did you bring Caroline Monroe some bubble gum?
No. Oh boy, I was like sweating. I mean, she's one of the most beautiful women I have ever seen. You know.
Beautiful.
I had her.
I had to stand next to her for 3 months. You know? And try not to stare.
I bet that was probably difficult.
She had this amazing figure on top of her beauty. You know?
Yep. I
and
had her.
It was fun.
I was going to say I had her on the podcast here back in 2016, and
Oh.
yeah, and I met her last year at Horrorama, and I think one of the things that her and her manager, one thing that stood out to them is I still had her phone number from back in 2016, and I said, and they were quite astonished that I never ever tried ever abused that info, and I said nope, nope, but I was so happy to have her on the show, and I got to
Yeah.
meet her. There's a Yeah, I'll have to show you the video where I'm talking to her on at the con, but I know you'll see this later, but she signed my Golden Voyage of Sinbad Blu-ray that I brought with me, and I got her
Wow.
to yeah, I got her to sign that, and I got some pictures here. I'll hold these. I actually
Mm.
had some pictures through the mail as well, but I got one from Star Crash, all my love to you, Greg, Caroline Monroe. And of course, my
Mm.
background is cutting all
Special.
this stuff out, and I got one from Golden Voyage of Sinbad just for you, Greg. I got a
Charming.
lot of pictures off her table, and but and I got one
She's a
here.
charming person.
Yeah, I got one here for her being chlorophoned by um, Joe Spinell from wasn't Maniac. It was the other one that they did together. Although I got her to sign my Maniac Blu-ray though, and her playing a
Wow.
student in Slaughter High. I mean, she's gorgeous, but she did not quite pass as a teenager in Slaughter High. So I got her in that, and Dracula AD, which they screened at Horrorama. And I got a
Wow.
picture, nice colorful picture of that on here. Yeah, my background is making things disappear, so I don't know how to make stuff show up any better here. And I got one of her as the villainess and James Bond, the spy who loved
James
me.
Bond, right?
Yeah,
Right. Right.
yeah, absolutely.
She became a
And
Bond girl.
yeah, and I got a couple pictures to the mail of her too from the Golden Voyage of Sinbad, and they're tucked away here somewhere, but I managed to find these from last year's con, and it was wonderful meeting her. She was the big headliner at Horrorama last year, so and I
Wow.
got her to sign my bunch of my Blu-rays, so I gave her a lot of business.
That's great.
Yeah. So tell me, how nervous were you standing that close to her, especially dressed like that?
Yes, I did. I didn't want to embarrass myself and tried to be professional, but it didn't work.
I bet. I bet she
I
was
was only about
stunning.
I was about 22, so you can imagine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but
And
her husband was there for some of the shoots, so that ruined it.
actually, it's funny because her husband wasn't well whenever I interviewed her. And when I met her
Oh,
last year, I asked her how her husband was doing. She said her husband had passed away. So, but
um,
yeah, but
yeah.
she was that was so memorable meeting her in person. I also have, and I don't have it on me at the moment, it's stashed away here somewhere. Before he passed away, I got an autographed picture through the mail of Ray Harryhausen. And
Oh, really?
mhm.
Oh,
Growing
that's
up,
great.
yeah, growing up, Clash of the Titans was one of my all-time favorite movies,
Right.
and I
Me
love
too.
love Clash of the Titans, and Golden
What
Voyage
about
of
Jason
Sinbad.
and the Argonauts?
Jason
Jason
the
and the
Argonauts, I
Argonauts.
really liked. I really liked.
Fabulous.
But Clash of the Titans and Golden Voyage of Sinbad are my favorite two Harryhausen movies.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you that Ray was one of the most delightful people you could meet.
Mm-hmm.
Because he would co-direct the movies, because it had to be meticulous for the fight scenes and everything. The placement had to be just right. We had months of training of sword fighting and different things. And then they'd give you the height to be looking at, 8 foot high or 7 foot high, and then we'd rehearse it, and then try and shoot it, and it would take about 8-10 takes to get most of the fight scene action from different angles. But they had wonderful cast.
Yeah.
They had great cast, lots of British stage actors, and Jane Seymour, who's a friend of mine, and was in the second one.
You mean the third one?
No,
the third one.
I meant Sinbad and the Eye of the Tiger.
Yeah, I know the third one. See, there was the 7th Voyage of Sinbad, and then there was the Golden Voyage of Sinbad, and then Sinbad and the Eye of the Tiger.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, but I was going to say, did you ever meet John Welsh, who's part of the Ray Harryhausen Foundation?
I think so. Is he Scottish? Yeah.
I don't know. I've had him.
He came to my house here.
Did he? Okay.
He came to the house and interviewed. Yeah.
Yeah, I've had him on the show in tribute to Ray 3 times now.
Yeah, because his daughter came too. Ray Harryhausen's daughter came both here in the yard, and we interviewed it here at the house. It was great.
Absolutely.
And she was a little girl at the time that we shot, and I remembered her very well, and I would tell her stories and joke around with her on the set. She's an adorable little girl. But Ray there was a big Guillermo del Toro exhibition here at the museum, and he had a life-size statue of Ray that's so fantastic, so realistic. It looked like he was going to sit up from his chair and talk to you. And all around him were flying all the different characters that he'd invented. And he was sitting he was like a granddad sitting in his pajamas with his slippers on, dreaming up different characters. It was really beautifully done.
Oh, beautiful.
Because he was inspiration. He was a great inspiration for Guillermo.
I don't doubt it. He was an inspiration for Spielberg, Rick Baker, all of them.
Right.
So, in the Golden Voyage of Sinbad, what was your favorite of his effects? Now, John Welsh said he liked the little flying creature, the little one the little small spy.
Homunculus.
Yeah.
The homunculus.
What was your favorite?
I love that. I love that one too. I have to say. And it was great because I got to use a bow and arrow and shoot him. And that's when I started to become a hero, from being a doofus.
Hey, Kurt, you were the one that got that dismissed more or less the 8-armed or the 4-arms. No,
that's true. That's true. I take credit for that.
You did, man.
I pushed the damn thing over, and she smashed the smithereens.
That
scene, that was a week of very, very hard work to do that scene. Everybody
need to
got
own that.
That's true. That's true. I'm proud of myself. Damn thing had 8 arms.
And you didn't get Caroline for it. You should have got her for that.
I agree. Totally.
Yeah. So
it was an amazing sequence. It was. I had to throw this this basket of fire at it at one
Mm-hmm.
point, and that was on a wire. And I threw it, and it's supposed to stop in midair where it hits Carly, but instead it bounced back straight at me. So I had to jump out the way. You know, luckily we were all young and fit, but and the cast, you know, we became very good friends because we were all very. We worked on that movie for several months, 4 months maybe.
How did you get cast in the film?
I think it was through. I used to be with MCA when it was an agency, and and I think they just put me up for it, and it was very quick. I think I was one of 3 people maybe that were up for it, and the other people were also too familiar as playing Arabic parts and ethnic character parts, and I was more bouncy and full of beans, you know, and I kind of got the comedic value of it, the fact that he was a coward and didn't want to do it, and you know, was a drunk and liked Caroline.
You know what? It's funny because I remember you so well in this movie, and I love the fact that your character's like sleepy and lazy and gets thrust into this.
Right.
And you said my favorite line in the film where you go, "My heart is full of bravery. I just have very cowardly
Yeah,
legs." I I love that line.
that's right. That's right. That's right.
Was
I think that was on the boat, wasn't it? Was that on the ship?
Yeah, I don't
When I kind of
remember.
woke
Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah, that creature that came to life, and you reached out and you did that thing with your finger under its chin.
Yes, and it had huge boobs. I remember the prow of the ship, the front of the ship, right?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that was.
Yeah, and
You had
I had some great little sequences. It was great.
you stole your scenes, you know, and you had a lot of. But you know what? You had a lot of, like, you shot down the little flying creature. You pushed the
Hmm.
6 or 8 armed statue down to its shattering demise, you know, like your
Right,
character
right.
had its uses. I like that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And one of the things they did at the end was because I'd ended up with 3 or 4 sequences, like you said, where I was the one that tied it all up. Then I fall off the mast, which was supposed to bring my hubris down, you know, because I was getting full of myself because I thought I really was a hero, you know. And
You were a
and
hero.
if you remember, yeah, I fall off the mast, and it's luckily I'm on a piece of rope, and they all laugh and say, "Don't forget to tie up your camel," you know.
Yep. Yep.
That's the end of the movie. Fun stuff, fun. And then he wrote the other part, the evil part, for me for the next
Yep.
for Sinbad Tiger, which was
Yep.
completely opposite, completely hard ass. You know, it was
Yep.
really interesting.
I don't know how you would have been able to go to you must have had to have air conditioning on to keep you from sweating from being around Caroline or Jane Seymour.
I'd known Jane since she was 16. We were always going up for different movies. We went up for Romeo and Juliet together.
I think you guys should have got
And
Romeo and Juliet as the Sinbad characters. Only you should have been the Golden Voyage of Sinbad
that's
character.
funny.
You
That's
could.
funny. That's great. We became very good friends. We were very good friends. She's a great girl, and
Yeah.
she lives not far from here in Beverly Hills.
Oh, wow, and she's a medicine woman. She's Dr. Quinn.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny because she had lost. She had a relationship where the guy had absconded with all of her money, or used it up, and one of those con men type things. And
Oh, I'm so sorry.
and
Yeah.
then she got Quinn, Dr. Quinn, medicine woman, and was okay again. And that helped her for the next 5 years. She got out of that mess.
Well, between Golden Voyage and Sinbad and the Eye of the Tiger, like personally, I like you best in Golden Voyage because you're just so funny. But you play a
Yeah,
completely different character in Eye of the Tiger, and when I think it's interesting you got cast in both parts, and because for the longest time I didn't know it was the same actor because I wasn't looking at IMDb and all
that's
this,
right. Yeah,
So
people
talk
say that.
about the transition of playing those two parts.
Well, actors love playing villains because they
Hmm.
can chew the scenery, and they get the best clothes, and get to do evil things, that are not part of their daily routine. So I just loved it. Yeah. And it was, and the woman that played my mother, Margaret Whiting, was a famous great actress in London, and we laughed all the way through that movie because we had loads of scenes together for hours on end, and we would just tell jokes to each other, dirty jokes and things. It was hilarious.
Did you ever
So
get
I have.
her? Did you ever tell her to get herself a brand new brand of shoes to go with that cloven foot of her?
Seagull foot. That's right. That's right. We used to call the seagull George Seagull because
Hmm.
George Seagull was the big movie star at that time. And I got to know the seagull very well, and he was
Hmm.
quite tame. That was a very funny sequence. And then Peter Mayhew from Star Wars
Yep.
was the Minotaur.
Oh
He was
yeah.
inside the Minotaur, and so he once we always had to take this little motorboat to get to the big ship,
Hmm.
and I had all these silk clothes on that had silver thread, and they were really beautiful. And
Hmm.
I couldn't get into the boat; the waves were too strong without ruining the costume. And he picked me up with one hand and put me in the boat. He was 7'3",
Yeah,
and it
he
was
did
so
Star
easy
Wars the
for him.
same year. Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. Oh wow.
And
It's
nobody knew that was going to happen. What happened to him? And
mm,
the biggest movie of all time at the time.
well, what I found interesting with Eye of the Tiger, like number one, it was unfortunate when the Minotaur left when his last scene because they probably could have used him towards the end of it. But there was a moment
Absolutely.
there where there's a tragedy with you, and you actually really kind of feel for the villainess, at that point,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. We went for it, the two of us. It was really funny. That's true. And then I had, if you remember the real king that I was trying to take his throne from him,
Hmm.
had been turned into an ape.
Baboon. Yep.
You remember that part?
Yep.
The
I
baboon.
do.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then he wrestles with me on the edges of the pyramid, and throws me down, and that's how I die. And the stuntman who was supposed to do it took one look at those stairs and said, "Oh, no way! No, I'm not doing this." So they looked at me Sam Wanamaker, the director, looked at me and he said, "Do you want to do it?" You know, I'm like 24 or something, and so I said, "Yeah, absolutely." And I ended up doing it, and I don't remember one thing about it except when I woke up.
Oh my goodness, I don't even think I would try that. And I've had some very good, successful stunt people, hard edge ones
Yeah.
on here too.
I love stuntmen. They're great. They're great technicians, and I've learned many things from them, from combat fighting to riding horses for effect, you know, to make it look really good on screen. And I have nothing but admiration for them. I have lots of good friends who are.
Yeah. And of course, you worked with a couple of Sinbads as well. John Philip Law, of course, played Sinbad in Golden Voyage. To me, he really, from my standpoint, he really looked like Sinbad, you know?
Yeah, he did. He did.
Yeah.
He did unless he would take his turban off, and then he'd be this blonde old American guy.
Yeah.
But in the outfit, that was it. He was 6'6" in actuality.
Oh wow.
And yeah, and he told me that he always had to put down 6'4" because that was as far as nobody would work with him if he'd been more than 6'4", you know. So he always wrote that in his. And we had another very tall guy on there too, who was supposed to teach us how to do saber for the fight scene, for the sword fight scene. And he didn't know anything about movie making, and he had been the world champion, professional world champion saber fighter, and he beat the hell out of us. And he had to be told to pull back and stop doing it. These are stunts. These are not. This isn't a real competition. You know? And he was 6'7" or something ridiculous. So we all got injured by him.
What were your memories of Tom Baker?
Oh, he was the most eccentric, delightful guy. He would sing Beatles songs every morning in the car going up there. You know, sometimes I'd share a car with him to the set, and he was totally in his own world, and then he'd come out of his own world and talk to you and chat with you. He was a lot of fun. Unique character, absolutely unique guy.
Oh yeah. And of course, we touched on Caroline. Any more Caroline stories of hanging out with her on the set? I can't help but ask if there's anything else.
Well, we had this. Do you remember the Green Men?
Yep, I do.
Yep. Okay,
Carrying
so
her all around.
Yes, exactly. So these were all expatriate dancers who happened to live in Madrid and in Spain. And there were about 50 of them, you know. And they all looked alike, and they were all the same size, and they were just having the time of their lives. They were like you know, the Munchkins in
Wizard of Oz, yeah.
In Wizard of Oz, you know, the true story was they went crazy on the set. And they had to be corralled, and all the stuntmen had to get hold of them because they had never been off of a circus or out of. So these guys were the same way. They went mad on the set. You know, we were in the biggest set in Europe at the time, playing that in that cabin, and she was terrified. And then they lifted me up too to take me to be sacrificed, and. And then I realized why. You know, they were gung ho. You know, they just threw us up in the air and ran with us. And you could see in her face that this was not what she signed up for.
Talk about working with Gordon Hessler, the director of Golden Voyage.
Oh, he's a very, very kind man, very sweet, good-natured, and really wanted it to be really good, you know. So he wanted to get all the drama and all the humor out of every part of it. He was really meticulous. That was fun. And then Sam Wanamaker, who did the second one, the other one, Eye of the Tiger, was from HUAC. You know, he was a Un-American Activities guy. McCarthy went over, and so he had lived in England for 20 or 30 years, and was still the same method guy that he was when he was an actor. And he was so intense, such an intense man. I ended up really admiring him. He was just the greatest guy. A powerful intellect, and it's funny because the actors didn't really take it seriously until they got into costume and it was just like something they were doing for money or doing for in between theatrical productions, you know, and then everybody got into it and thoroughly enjoyed every moment of it, and we all became great friends.
So, and of course, Patrick Wayne played Sinbad in The Eye of the Tiger.
Yeah, we were good friends. That was great. Yeah, he was a lot of fun, and I think once his dad came to visit, and I heard his voice once in the hotel. And he said, "Hey, Patrick, his dad's here." You know? So John Wayne came to visit once, and he was Patrick was a lot of fun. He got into it. He did well. John had a kind of panache about him that was really good. He had an unselfconscious kind of feel to him. So, but in The Eye of the Tiger, we some of the sets were some of the actual places we shot were amazing. Like there's this town called Avila, which is a walled city.
Yep.
From the 10th century, and we'd be outside those walls. We shot, and the extras were gypsies, and at lunchtime they would go into full flamenco and start dancing and singing, and it was so moving and so beautiful. They were amazing people.
Well, I'm noticing on here, Margaret Whiting is 90 years old this year. Wow. She said, when have you still in touch with her? Or when's the last time you've seen her?
No, and it's funny because I was in the National Theater with her husband, who passed away much earlier, Colin. He was a great actor, and but I didn't. I moved to LA and didn't stay in touch with her, unfortunately. But she's 90 years old. That's fantastic.
90. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about Taryn?
I bet she.
What?
Oh, Taryn was hilarious. Taryn was so funny. She was very, very beautiful. In real life, you know, she was a natural beauty, and it was in the hippie times and the end of the hippie era, and she was stoned all the time.
You left us way too early, too.
Who's that? Sorry?
Taryn left us way too early, too.
Oh, I didn't know. She passed?
Yeah, she was 66. She passed in, say here, 2020.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, she was very young when she did the movies.
Yep.
Yeah, if Charlie, the producer, couldn't get a star, he got one of their kids. He just wanted to have the star name on the marquee. He was like an old school showman, you know. So if he couldn't get Tyrone Power, he got Taryn Power.
Why not? She was lovely.
Yeah,
Yep.
she was lovely,
and always stoned.
and
You
of
say
course,
she was stoned all the time.
well, she appeared to be. Who knows? But she had this faraway look, you know.
Oh well.
Hey man, she'd say, you know, hey man, how's it going? She was
Jane's
adorable.
Yeah, and you're still in touch with Jane Seymour, huh?
Yeah, I haven't seen her for a couple of years, but she's around. We used to go to her place, and she had little parties, and she was a great person, and she was very very honed in on her career. She was way ahead of her time with running your own career, you know. But her unfortunately, she had this event where she got ripped off, and but came back from it like a trooper, you know, strong-willed and courageous. Great woman, great mom.
Yeah. Well, I'd interviewed Joe Camp, who directed her in Oh Heavenly Dog as well, you know, and yeah, her name has passed through the show a few times. You know, I've never had her on here. I don't know if I've got that kind of power to get her on here or not, but I certainly have a lot of respect for her. Huh?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm sure she might well do it.
Oh, I'd love to have her.
She's very bright, and she's got a very interesting background. You know, her father his name was Frankenberg, and he was a gynecologist. And she sort of grew up in the country, you know, with this marvelous society gynecologist, you know, and very well educated and really smart girl. And but she was gifted with this incredible beauty. I mean, she was. When I first met her when she was 16, it made you cry. You know, it was like seeing a work of art. You know, and then she had these hetero eyes, the different colored eyes that fascinated you. Her hair was down to her waist at the time.
Well, gee, going from Caroline Monroe and then going on the set, and you got Margaret Whiting, and you got Taryn Power, and you got Jane Seymour. Now, you told me you joked a lot and laughed a lot with Margaret, and you said that, and you told me what Taryn was like on set, which is kind of amusing. What was the contrast of Jane Seymour on the set of Eye of the Tiger compared to the others?
You know, I was the antagonist, so I didn't have a lot to do with her till the end when I tried to kill her.
Oh, come on, you didn't want to do that.
not inside myself, no. But I had a villa right close to hers, and so we'd sometimes drive in together to the set, and she was, I believe, how do I put this? She was involved with somebody on the movie, and it was a very up and down thing, and nobody was supposed to know. But she'd open her heart out to me about all that was going on.
Yeah.
So we were good friends. Yeah, which happens on sets and movies and location especially. You know, everybody thrown in together in Malta or Ibiza or Spain, you know, fantastic places. So that era happened to be lucky for me because there were so many, if you remember, so many major stars like Richard Harris and Sean Connery, Oliver Reed, all these people all shooting in Spain at the same time. And so we get to hang out with all of these amazing people that were that just took it for granted. We were all working. That was all we were ever, just working actors, and they all became legends. So that was great fun. And they were drunk every night and telling stories. And it was marvelous fun.
Do you ever get to do the conventions, the autograph conventions?
I haven't so far, but some friends of mine have. They're the Power Rangers, and I'm now a personal trainer for actors. I prep them for movies, and one of my actors is Ron Perlman from Hellboy.
I've met him. Yeah, I never had him on here, but I met him, and he's supposed to be at Frightmare in the Falls this fall too, which is one of the cons I usually attend.
Oh, right. He'll be there. Yeah. So he's away at one now, today, I think. No, next weekend, I'm not sure. But he tells me about going to all the conventions, and he's doing very well at them. He's got a sort of new young wife, so he has to, he needs that little extra.
Well, I know when at Horrorama last year, I could not believe they got Caroline, and like I said, I gave her a lot of business, but she was really busy both days of the con. But I'll tell you, she took time to talk to everybody, including do a little video with me, which was really cool. And so yeah, I mean, the cons are fun. No, it's too bad they don't get you out to some of these, because I mean, the Harryhausen movies, I think, would be a big thing for these cons, especially with memorabilia.
I'm thinking of looking into it, and seeing how he's got an actual agent just for cons.
Yes.
Ron. It's that important these days.
Oh yeah.
And I have I used to train the Power Rangers. Do you remember them?
Yeah, I remember Amy Jo Johnson.
Right, and they're all middle-aged moms now, and they're making a sweet living from going all over the world with it. It's really fun.
Yeah, I didn't know who the others were, but I remembered Amy.
Yeah, Catherine Sutherland. She was one of them, the blonde. The Pink Ranger, maybe. I'm not sure.
No, Amy Jo Johnson was Pink. Yeah.
Was she?
Yeah, Amy Jo Johnson was a Pink Ranger.
I'm not sure which one she was, but.
So when you trained them,
yeah,
I was gonna say, when you trained them, did you wear the Power Rangers outfit?
No, I didn't. No, that wouldn't have gone down well in the gym. They were gorgeous girls, though.
Oh yeah.
And Catherine, she got in really good shape.
Well, looking at your IMDb and Wikipedia, your last credit was in 1985 with the Boys Next Door. What have you been doing since then?
Well, I go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, what made you step away from being on camera?
Well, I got married, and my ex-wife, first wife, wasn't too into the business. She was kind of worried that I would stray, or that it was a little too harsh. And I did this. The last show I actually did was Remington Steele. You remember that one?
Yep, I do.
And yeah, and I was trying to make sure that she would come on the set and meet everybody and see that it wasn't, Hollywood Babylon or anything like that. But but the whole thing kind of put me off it a little bit. So I pulled away and started working on training people and prepping and teaching actors how to move and how to do combat, how to do and I kind of work on the character with them, but from the physical point of view. You know, like with Ron, he did Sons of Anarchy, and we had him very powerfully built for half the show, and then he gets shot and goes to prison in the show and becomes ill and has to lose a lot of weight. And so we planned how to make sure that his collars were too big for him, and he leaned out and had a sort of weak look and a gaunt face. You know? So it was like acting again, you know, prepping all the little details. So it was a lot of fun. And that's my favorite, is to train actors or athletes, because they're so dedicated, you know, even if they're not into working out. They have a goal in mind and they have to reach it.
Okay. Well, I know you best from the Sinbad movies, but I would like to ask about some of your other credits here, because I mean, you worked with David Hemmings in Fragment of Fear.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. At his peak, he was at his peak then. He'd done Blow Up, and he was a major dude at that time. A very sweet guy, very nice, and his wife was in the sequence. I think I was a waiter, and I was thinking up all kinds of National Theater ways of making my part more showy. So adding little bits as I poured her champagne or whatever it was. But her name was Gail Honeycutt, and she was lovely, a fun woman. And Richard Serafian, I think, directed that, and he was a really interesting man. He was about 400 pounds.
Yeah. I interviewed one of the mimes from Blow Up.
Really?
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yep, it was great to have him on here too to talk about that film.
Did you ever talk to Vanessa Redgrave?
No, I haven't. No, I've reached out but never heard back.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I would, like I said, I'd love to, you know.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah.
She's getting along in years too.
Yeah. Now in The Boys Next Door, I mean, you had Charlie Sheen, and that Charlie, of course, has had some problems in the recent years, but he's never ceased to be entertaining.
No, and he's also a really good guy in my book. The way he deals with people, he is. I think you know, substances have affected him and kind of ruined his life in a way, but I've got a lot of faith that he'll come back from it all, because he's really a decent man, you know. And we had a lot of fun. We were like 3 days on that movie. A big fight scene. I'm the first victim of these two killers, and it's a true story. And they beat the hell out of me. Again, I was wanted to do all the stunts, and then I'd get home and regret it. You know? When you got bruises all over you and little cuts and things that you don't notice at the time.
Well,
yeah, Charlie was just a great guy. I liked him a lot.
Yeah, and Patty was in that. I'm trying to think of her last name here. Just a minute.
Yeah.
Her last
notorious. Yeah. Darbanville?
Yeah, I had a hard time pronouncing that, but yeah. Yep.
Yeah. There's a famous song about her.
There you go.
My Lady Darbanville. Yeah, she was charming. And the director was very famous woman who made these kind of very unusual movies, and she died very young too, tragically. And she was a shame because she was really a great talent. But that was go ahead.
No, keep going.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you a different question, but keep going with that.
No, she was just a really good person to work with. It was a good experience.
I was going to ask, do you have any charities or web page or anything like that you want to plug and promote on here?
I subscribe to Smile. Do you know that charity?
No, but I know you probably did a lot of that when you were around some of these women in the film.
I'm smiling now thinking about it. It's a charity for children, and there's this wonderful doctor here in California, and his son is a dentist, and they go all over the world, and kids that have cleft palates are treated horribly in many parts of the world, like they're the devil, or they can't eat properly, and it's very sad. And a simple 15-minute operation changes their lives entirely, and they become these beautiful little children. And it's that's one I subscribe to, and St. Jude is the other one.
Oh yes, absolutely. St. Jude's very popular. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's just unique and terrific.
So what do we have coming up in the future for you? I know you're working with Ron Perlman. Who else you working with? Yeah.
Right now, I'm kind of rebuilding the business after the pandemic.
Yeah.
It had lots of changes. Like the gym that I used to work out of decided not to have personal trainers anymore. And but now I'm at a new gym, and also I train people in their homes. So that's very satisfying. It's very joyful, and it's great to see them enjoying different new movies and new things. So I'm a happy person.
I worked through the pandemic.
Sorry?
I worked through the pandemic. I work as a cleaner, so that's what I do for money. So
really?
Yep. I worked at the hospital as a housekeeper for over a year, and
wow.
Yep, and various other buildings. And yeah, I worked through it, and
good for you. Good for
you.
Very honorable.
Well, I try.
When I was in college, I was a house cleaner. I learned more about human nature from being a house cleaner than almost anything else.
Oh yeah.
Seeing people
yeah.
Very interesting.
And
when I was a young actor, in between, I would always take these fascinating jobs, and one of them was a solicitor's clerk, which is the law in England's different, and the solicitor gets the case and prepares it, and then hands it over to a QC or barrister who is a trial lawyer, an expert trial lawyer. They're kind of like leading actors. They're amazing, and that was a fascinating job because I would be the liaison between the two and between the prisoner and the barrister. Yeah. So I would run up and ask the guy, is that true or not true? And then run it back to the barrister, and the barrister would just stand up immediately and give a speech that was incredible. It's fascinating.
Absolutely. Well, Kirk, it was wonderful having you come on here today and share memories of Ray Harryhausen and the Sinbad movies and other areas of your career, and plus some of these beautiful women that you get to work with. And I don't know. I don't know how I would have made it through that. So you're stronger than me.
Yeah, I would. After that movie, I always brought a girlfriend with me.
I bet. I bet. You
In
know.
line.
I mean, Caroline still looks good. You know, and yep,
Absolutely. Jeans
absolutely.
are amazing.
Yep, yep, absolutely. Anything else you want to promote on here before we close off?
Not really. No, no. It's uh, California is a very nice state to live in.
You know where I'm located here in New Brunswick, Canada? I'm
In
4 hours.
Canada, right?
Yeah, I'm 4 hours ahead of you here in Atlantic Canada. Nobody knows where New Brunswick is, of course.
It's right on the edge, isn't it?
It's on the edge of something. But
What's the nearest big city?
to New Brunswick, that's a province I'm in. We're closest to Nova Scotia.
Wow.
Yeah,
On the edge of something.
yeah, the
I'm
edge
going
of
to use that
something.
as a tag.
There you go. Eventually, I hope to move to Toronto eventually because my heart is definitely in Toronto. Love it there. Yeah, yeah.
Good luck with all your projects. You're doing great. You're a good interviewer.
Oh, I appreciate that. Before I let you go, would you mind doing a plug for my show?
Hmm.
Yeah,
No, not at
just
all.
just state your name and that you were in the Sinbad movies there, and say you're listening to Greg Gilbert on Python's Paradise.
Let me write that down.
Okay. Yep. State your names and you're listening to Greg Gilbert on Python's Paradise. And of course, you were in those most well known, I think, from the Sinbad movies, you know, but which
Right.
not a bad thing being associated with Ray Harryhausen. That's actually awesome.
Absolutely. I agree with you totally.
You ready?
And it's to this day I get recognized from it, from those movies, and they're almost 50 years old.
There you go. Well, I was born in 1972, so I was born a year or two before Golden Voyage came out.
That's right. That's right.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. You want to go for it?
Go for it.
Hi, this is Kurt Christian from the Sinbad movies. And you know what I like to listen to? Greg Gilbert, Python's Paradise.
And remember, folks, his heart is full of bravery. He just has very cowardly legs. I love that line. It's my favorite line in the film.
My legs are fine.
Your legs are great decision makers when it comes to Sinbad danger.
Absolutely.
There you
Yeah, absolutely. Great to talk to you.
It was great to talk to you too.
Feel free to talk again if you want to.
I would love to. I'd love to. You have yourself a wonderful day. Enjoy California. I've interviewed a lot of people from there, so enjoy it, and God bless.
Okay, you too.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Meet you.